Welcome to a very special season preview with my boy Robert Misovic. I am so excited, Rob, to go over the Eastern and Western Conference. We're going 1 through 15. My levels are high. Kings versus Lakers tonight. We're going to see a nice little indication of what's to come this season because everybody playing. LeBron, Russ, AD, De'Aaron, Tyrese, everybody is playing tonight. So I'm excited. We've been watching the Raptors do well as well. And yeah, let's get to it, brother. We both have a list, 1 through 15. I believe we're covering the East first, going 1 through 15, and then we'll follow up with the West. You'll give me your answer at number 1, then I'll give you my answer. We'll kind of discuss it, go back and forth, and just let the dialogue take care of itself after that, brother. But first of all, how you doing, man?
I'm still reeling from Sam Decker's Kobe performance. I love that. And to anyone watching this, go check out this dude's interview today. He gave like a 12-minute interview where he's just talking about his 2-year foray outside the NBA, going over to Turkey, going over to Russia. It's probably the realest you've ever seen an NBA player get. It was touching, man. People were like, dude, I got like tears in my eyes. This guy's like so real. So I'm really pulling for this guy.
That is awesome to hear. That is awesome to hear. All right, and without further ado, let's get to it. At number 1, who do you got, Robert?
Yeah. I got the Nets.
Okay, so you kind of froze. Okay, so you got the Nets at number 1.
I got the Nets. I got the Nets at number 1. Who you got?
Really? Because you sent me a different list. You sent me the Bucks. No, actually, you didn't. My bad. You sent me the Nets. I got the Bucks at number 1. Okay, perfect. So I got the Bucks at number 1. Tell me why you got the Nets number 1, even with all this Kyrie drama.
I do. I think they play. I think they played just as well, if not better, without Kyrie. It's sort of an openly kept secret in the NBA. You know, they really don't need him. They got a lot of veteran depth. They got guard depth. They got Patty Mills.
They do.
Low key, honestly, with Kyrie in the playoffs, they're scary.
Yes.
Without him, if he's coming in and out, that would have been a disaster. That would have been hard to do. But if he's just out and they're just gonna stay with him out until that's resolved, I have them winning the East. The gap between them and the next team is it's big.
I guess I would disagree just a little bit, just because, or push back a little bit, because the Bucks are the defending NBA champions. They also got deeper this year with their acquisitions in the summer. And even though I do agree that the Nets are deeper than last year, not having Kyrie, it's hard to replace him, that type of star, when he's all the way there. Like, when he's locked in, Kyrie is one of the best players in the NBA. He's so fun to watch. But you're right.
There's only one ball. There's only one ball.
Right. But I mean, I think that's always a kind of argument to saying, well, all three guys can get 50 on any night. And you're like, well, they can't all get 50 on one night. And I'm like, yes, I agree. And even, both Coach Rafa from the Heat and myself, our biggest thing is, well, James Harden, Kyrie, and Durant do the dirty things in the playoff game to win a game, like diving on the floor, doing all the little things. And the answer is no. So, yes, I do agree with that argument. But at the same time, if two guys are having an off night, the other guy is more than capable. And that's why in the NBA, man, as much as people want to talk about coaching, the best talent for the most part always wins, and that's going to hurt them, I think, in the playoffs. But in the season, they should be fine. It's going to be competitive all year for me. Bucks are going to be really, really good again, and that's why I got them at number 1. But, I mean, it's 1A, 1B. That's why I got the Nets on number 2. You can easily swap those, right? I mean, it's not like during the regular season. I feel like the Bucks are always at their best anyway, blowing teams out left and right. But, yeah, I'm not mad at you for having the Nets at number 1.
I think it's a bit of a championship hangover. I think losing PJ Tucker definitely doesn't help. I like the idea of having Drew Holiday back for a whole season, but I think I like the idea of having Durant and Harden healthy together from preseason much better, because last year was kind of like, even though they're a natural fit together, they know each other really well, but having those guys from training camp and then having the entire roster around them to adapt to them right from the get-go and they seem motivated. Maybe there's a chip on their shoulder. Everyone's kind of questioning it, you know. So I just think their upside's a little bit higher. Yeah. Who you got at number 3? Because I mean, I got the Bucks at number
Right.
2. So
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. So at number 3, I have the Hawks.
So do I. We got nothing to discuss there.
Yeah. Well,
It's
briefly,
Trey City.
it's Trey City, Ice Trey. I love his new sneakers. Don't know if I'll get them yet because I'm more of an Air Jordan type guy. I love the brand new Air Jordan 36s. I think it's the best shoe 2021. So if y'all looking for a shoe this year, I believe the Air Jordan 36 are the best. But the aesthetics of the new ice trays are pretty nice, especially those baby ice blue, you know, so it goes with the theme. But hey, man, it's another year of ice tray getting better. But we both talked about how he's a liability on defense, but they're surrounding him with a lot of wing depth and a lot of athleticism. So that's why I think they get better, even though he came out a few days ago and said that we're still underdogs, right? But they're not going to catch anyone by surprise this year, right? Because they have more film on them. They'll be better prepared for them. But I still feel like league-wide, from a national perspective, many people won't have them at number 3 like you and I, right?
Yeah. I think there's definitely a case to be made for the Celtics. I debated hard.
Me too. Me too.
I've been watching Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and these two look super special. Like, I think Brown is going to take another step up for sure. Like, I've been watching some of his off-season videos. His handle looks slick. And Jason Tatum came out today and he said, you know, I got to go from being a top 15 to a top 5. And my first thought was, he could do it. He's legitimately capable of being that type of player. So, you know, these two guys, it's special. Like, what Boston could have is really special. And, you know, I could very easily see a situation where they're number 1 in the East. I really could.
It's not crazy to think. Yeah, it's not crazy to think.
Dennis Schroeder's on a proven contract. You know, they got Horford back. You know, he might have unlocked something. They got a new coach. You know, new voice in the locker room.
Great.
So I just think there's a lot of and there's some continuity from last year. You know, Marcus Smart's got a lot to prove.
Yep.
So it's just one of those teams where I think, you know, no disrespect to Brad Stevens, I just think that they needed a new voice. Yes. And I think they got a great, bright new coach who's already implementing some awesome stuff. So, yeah, those two together, if they can stay healthy, yeah, they could be scary.
Right. We both have the Hawks at 3, the Celtics at 4, but at number 5 is where we disagree. I have the Miami Heat with your guy Kyle Lowry leading the way this year at the point guard position. He is rejuvenated. Anyone that's going to Miami gonna get rejuvenated. Let's be honest, you and I. I mean, I just came back from there like a month ago, so it was a hell of a time. I know he's gonna have a hell of a time, and just in that preseason game alone, I was like, damn, like he looks like he got his legs under him. He looks healthy, and with that type of leadership, with that type of pressure, with the guy who was a dog in Jimmy Butler, another year of Tyler Hero who needs to prove it, especially if he's out here saying that he's on the same, you know, trajectory as a Ice Tray, as a Luka. When you put yourself in those type of conversations, you better back it up. He proved it, you know, for a few months in the playoffs. About a year and a half ago, he kind of had an off year last year. A lot of drama off the court. So we'll see what happens with him. But they also acquired PJ Tucker, and it's another year of Bam Adebayo. What version of Bam will we get? I think it's going to be the best version, especially with a true point guard like Kyle leading the way. They can easily be number 1 as well. So, you know, the East for the first time in 15 years is loaded this year. That's why this list was so hard for me to make. So I got the Heat at number 5.
You know, it's funny. I did this list like a couple of times, and I ended up like leaving the Raptors off once, and I was like, well,
me too.
we got to go back on that one. But you know what? It's so easy to see. You know, I get the upside with the Heat. I get the upside with the Bulls. I get the upside with a lot of teams, but I do worry about, you know, Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler. Like, they are on, you know, they're on the, you know, Jimmy might not be 35, but he might as well be 35. Like, those years with Tibbs, like, those are some long years, and they take a lot off your body, right?
Both in
So
Chicago
my
and Minnesota, right?
right, and that's kind of where I see that thing kind of falling apart. Is does the chemistry situation with will the Miami Heat champion Tyler Hero kind of playing Trey Young ball? Because
Right.
he could probably do it. I mean, he doesn't lack the confidence. He has a great shot. Um, so and Bam's just been paid, right? It's not a contract year anymore.
Right.
So I don't know. There's a lot of enthusiasm around Miami right now. GM surveyed said that they had the best offseason, right? They did just make the finals, like, albeit in the bubble 2 years ago. But I'm not buying it. I think the Lowry regression is real. Take it from a Raptor fan. I watched them play last year. I mean, it's not talked about very often, and maybe the league hasn't really woken up to it yet, but it is real. Like, it's 100% real.
Okay.
Like, we're gonna miss him. Like, 100%, greatest Raptor of all time, all that stuff. Build him a statue, but it is real. And so, and you said he's rejuvenated down in Miami. Well, in fairness, he was playing golf in Tampa all last year.
A
So
little bit different. Tampa, Miami got a little bit of different vibes there, but we'll see.
you don't think he took a private jet over a couple times a week? Get real. Nobody spends time in Tampa. Like, come on.
Yeah.
They had like 5 hours off. He's probably flying over to Miami. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see that right away, but it wouldn't shock me if they were second or third. It really
Yeah.
wouldn't. And a lot of people will have them there for sure.
But you got the Sixers at 5, right?
I do. I do. Yeah.
They
I
scare me
think
though. I think with Ben Simmons not being there, that that worries me a lot, and I don't know what version of Ben they're getting back. If it's a wink wink deal, play for a couple games till we trade you type of deal, and then if they do indeed trade him, then this whole list is going to be dumb because it changes. Just like last year with the Rockets, I had the Rockets in the playoffs with Harden, and they would have made it with Harden and Christian Wood, but when he got traded, that kind of messed up the whole thing. That's why they're such a wild card, which is why I have them a lot lower than you. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I mean, I see
with the
it
Sixers, it's sort of strange, right? Because on the one hand, if Ben Simmons comes back and he plays his butt off, right? He's got a
hmm
chip on his shoulder right now. He's listened to the entire media drag him, and you and I probably both agree he's a top 25 player in the NBA,
for sure,
right?
for
No?
sure, for sure,
Yeah, for sure. Like,
for
I mean,
sure.
I'm there. I borderline sometimes think about him as top 20, top 15 on certain nights. So he's talented to an extreme, and he's extremely motivated right now. What will that mean? Well, he's not a selfish player, so it's not going to mean he's going to come out and shoot 40 shots.
Right.
But it is going to be like one of those situations where the other side of this is, what if the team is very united and motivated because of all the drama that's happened with him? Could they then, kind of rally around Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris, both of whom are very much capable of being a 1 and 2 option on a top team? Seth Curry looks great right now.
Or
He's
they
got a
could
lot.
implode.
I doubt it. I really do. I think Doc, for all of his faults as a coach, and I think he is so overrated. He is so good at keeping people together. He's such a master manipulator and so good at this. I would not be shocked if right now he's using every ounce of this, kind of Phil Jackson style. I don't ever want to put Doc Rivers and Phil Jackson in the same sentence ever again, but kind of Phil Jackson style of, like, kind of uniting everyone against something. You know what I mean? Like Kobe,
Right.
Shaq, Jordan, Rodman, that whole thing. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised. It's just a team that's dialed in. They look like they could be, and I think Embiid's got a lot to prove. I think Ben Simmons has got a lot to prove. I think Doc Rivers has a lot to prove, and I think this roster as a whole just has a lot of spotlight on them right now, and for all the wrong reasons. And I think that they would love to just turn it back to basketball, and I think the fans are going to cheer really hard, for Embiid, and if Ben Simmons comes back and then fakes an injury, I don't know. And then the other, wild card here is, what if they do get something really great back for him? You know what I mean? What if they get a package centered on Malcolm Brogdon and, like, Domantas Sabonis or something like that? like you could legitimately be talking about a team that wins 60 games.
Yeah,
You know, so
that'd be crazy.
the upside is huge. If Embiid stays healthy, I don't see this team bottoming out. You know, in the play-in or anything. He's too good.
So who do you have on number 6?
I have the Heat.
Okay, so
I have the Heat at number 6.
So we kind of
Yeah.
went over that already. And then at number 6, I have the Pacers, which we haven't spoken about yet. The year before, not last season, but season before, they were a top 5 team when they were healthy. Last year, I don't know if there was anyone as injury riddled as that team. I mean, everybody was injured, okay? And this year, with the acquisition, or not the acquisition, but drafting a guy like Isaiah Jackson, like my guy from Oregon, I'm slipping on his name right now. I am loving the fact that they acquired these two guys, and then the most important acquisition was their head coach, and Rick Carlisle, who to me is still a top 5 head coach in the NBA, regardless of him being older. He's so well respected, and you know, some can make the argument, well, why didn't it work out in Dallas with Luka? Hey man, Luka's Luka, and I love me some Luka, but sometimes you just gotta move on. They did. The Pacers ended up getting a very well-respected coach. So if they're healthy with Sabonis, who was one of the better players in the NBA, he gets no respect in that way. He's so underrated. Miles Turner, I don't love the fit, but if they can trade him away and get more depth at the wing position, and then if TJ somehow rejuvenates himself and he's back to that bubble, TJ, that's a scary team, man, because to me, Malcolm is an all-star level type player when healthy, and so is Karis LeVert. And those are two big ifs. But if that team is dialed in and well coached, there's no reason to believe that they can't be a top 5 team again.
I mean, wait. Yeah. I mean, I hear that for sure, and I see the upside. I disagree with Rick Carlisle being a top 5 coach.
Oof.
I 100% disagree with that.
Okay.
I like him. I do. You know, I liked him in Detroit. You know, and I liked him with the Mavs. But I do think that, you know, as much credit as I give him for that championship with Dallas, you know, there's been a lot of moments last few years with KP and Luka that's made me really think about his fit in the modern NBA, the way he thinks. There's a lot of new coaches that have come in, and you know, we might look at someone like Udoka or Nurse, and it might be hard to compare them against a Popovich or a Rick Carlisle just because of tenure and because of years. But you don't coach 20 years at a time. You coach one game at a time. So I think there's a lot of fresh ideas floating around, and you know, you know, given everything that happened with the Pacers last year, with Nate, anything is going to be an upgrade right now, apparently, right? With what was happening. So the team could be really motivated, but I think Miles Turner is still on the block. They still have, I don't think they have a superstar or a star player. I think Karis LeVert.
You don't think Sabonis is a star?
I don't. No, man. I mean, I think he's really good. Don't get me wrong, but to me, like a star. You're talking about an all-star, right? He's an all-star.
For sure. I mean, he's for sure an all-star, but to me, he's just an underappreciated star league-wide because, again, not many people watch the Pacers play. They play in Indiana. I understand those things, but when you watch that guy play, there's nothing he can do offensively. Great footwork, a beast inside with the boards. I mean, like, what can he do offensively?
I don't think it's only offense, right? I think defensively. I mean, he's a great passer. He's an amazing passer.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's so versatile offensively, but he may not be great defensively. He's not bad. I mean, let's be honest. Like he's not bad. So I just think he's underappreciated. That's all, and that's why I have him so high at number 6.
I think when I think star, I'm not thinking Jimmy Butler. Okay.
Is he top 25 to you?
Yes. Borderline. No, no, he's not.
Oh,
Because you know what? Honestly, like I match it two ways, right? I'm not a big Pascal Siakam guy. I
okay.
wouldn't trade Pascal Siakam for Domantas Sabonis right
Ooh,
away, and
that's
I don't.
interesting. That is interesting.
And I don't rate Pascal Siakam as a top 25 player. So if you want to go down the list of top 25 players, I don't think
Dude, I
Domantas
would
Sabonis would
love
make.
the fit with Sabonis, Scotty Barnes, and OG. I think it'd be a great fit. And you're like, it will. I got you there. That'd be a great fit,
No,
bro.
it wouldn't, because it would completely screw up like what they do, because you would have to slow the offense down.
Hey,
You'd have
no,
to
you
feed it
don't.
into the post.
Sabonis can run
He's not Pascal Siakam. He's
for
not
sure.
Pascal. I
They're
mean,
they're they're different players.
Siakam's a gazelle. Siakam can switch one through. I legitimately believe Siakam can switch 2 through 5, and Sabonis can't. He just can't. So
But it
there's
gives
a
you that
lot of
different
ways.
presence in the playoffs where if you do need a bucket, you can give it to Sabonis when the game slows down. He'd be your perfect five with so much length. I think that would be a great team.
He has no length. His wingspan is literally the
Yeah, but
same as his height,
he's a
6'11".
five though. Like to me, he's a center in the NBA.
He's a center only because everything went small. But if you brought Olajuwon and like Ewan
Oh, I
back,
mean,
he's
yeah,
not a center.
for
He's a
sure.
four. So I mean, he's a center. Like again, I don't value that position much. Maybe I'm a new school guy. Like I'm brainwashed by Nick Nurse and how he preaches offense. But to me, a guy like Jahlil Okafor, who's literally like 18 PER, like score 64 true shooting last year or the year before, and he just got waived by the Hawks, right? Post scoring, if you scoring like 1.1 to 1.2 points per possession, that's a low efficiency shot to some extent. I mean, if you can balance it out and you can open up the 3-point line for your team, great. And Sabonis does that a lot. But I don't value post scoring. I don't value the places that he scores from as much as I value the places Siakam scores from.
That's an
Yeah.
argument. That's a question that I would love to ask Coach Nurse. But all right, at
Will you trade Pascal Siakam
yeah,
for
no,
Domantas Sabonis?
for
He
real.
probably would. He probably would.
I think he would.
He had a blow up with Pascal Siakam, but I just I see the upside, but yeah. Anyways, moving
Okay,
on.
so at number what are we, 7?
Where Yep, I got my Raptors. Speak of the devil.
Okay,
I got the Toronto Raptors.
and I have the
And
Sixers. But go ahead. Why do you have
uh,
the Raptors so high?
well, I mean, for starters, I'm in Toronto. um, that's my homer bias. No, but honestly, it's because I follow this team really closely, and just even without Siakam, even without Boucher, even without Kem Birch and Yuta Watanabe for most of the preseason, and I know it's just preseason, they were a top 7, top 8 defensive team in the league without those guys. I mean, they were bottom 5, bottom 6 to offense, but Siakam fixes a lot of that, and Boucher fixes a lot of that. I mean, right now, these numbers are basically a result of length and the system and some very gifted athletes who, frankly, they cover up a lot of mistakes, right? But you replace the minutes that Banton and guys like, God, who else has been playing for this team? Ish Wainwright, Sam
Right.
Decker, a lot of these guys that have been playing minutes, Isaac Bonga, and you replace these guys with formidable starters, like legit starters who can play decent minutes. I mean, I think they have a positive surprise in Svi. I just think this entire team is super underrated. I
Yeah,
really do.
me too.
I think Precious is being slept on. I think Scotty Barnes is being slept on. I think Svi is being slept on. I think OG is being slept on. So I think they legitimately have 4 guys who could drastically exceed expectations. And honestly, let's be real. We're not talking about Pascal Siakam the way we were 2 years ago,
For sure.
right? When he was coming off the final run, and he was an all-star, right? But all accounts from him are that he's gone through a bit of an emotional journey the last year and a half with COVID, with the pandemic. We don't know how isolation impacts different people, right?
Right.
And apparently being away from Toronto really impacted this dude. And it coincides with his drop-off in play. I mean, he was averaging like 24, 25 points per game. I mean, he became an all-star. And then suddenly we entered the NBA bubble in Orlando, and he doesn't even remember how to play a basketball. Like, he looked like trash.
Right.
He was trash against Brooklyn. He was trash against Boston. He got shut down by Jaylen Brown one-on-one. And he was pretty decently bad last year for most of it too. So if he's back to his normal self, I mean, the Raptors legitimately, I mean, I think this is a floor. 7, 8, 9 play-in is a floor. I legitimately think like this team could be 4 or 5. You know, they could surprise some people, and I think OG is going to pop for sure. He's looked great in preseason. Yeah, and
You don't have
my
to
only
convince
concern.
me, brother. I'm high on the
Yeah.
Raptors, but I do understand some of the difficulties that they will have during the season. But let's speed up
Yep.
things because I do have to be at the King Laker game tonight. So I'm gonna go 8 through 15 real fast, and then we'll go through your 8 through 15 as well. So I got the Bulls at 8, which again, the Bulls are everybody's darling this season. Real quick, I don't love the roster construction. I love some of the players on that team. I just wish they had more shooting, which people want to know, oh, well, Zach LaVine's a volume scorer, he's a volume shooter. He's not a shooter. I'm talking like a Buddy Hield, Joe Harris, those types of shooters around, a Vucevic, and to create more space for Zach LaVine. I don't think Lonzo's 40% is real, and they'll soon find out. I don't think Alex Caruso's shot is real, but he does everything else so well. So I got the Bulls at 8, the Knicks at 9, which some people may be mad, but again, 7 through 10, that's a plan. It's gonna be super fun to watch that. So I got the 6 or 7, Bulls 8, Knicks 9, Raptors 10. So that's my plan, and then my team's outside looking in. The Hornets at 11, the Wizards at 12, the Pistons at 13, the Cavs at 14, and the Magic at 15. Who's your
So
9 through 15?
we got almost identical teams missing the play-in. So my bottom 10, so my
Mm-hmm.
bottom 5 are the Hornets, Wizards, Cavs, Pistons, Magic. I think the Magic are going to be so bad this year, unless Jonathan Isaac turns into like an
Me
all-star,
too.
and I just don't see that happening after like two
Me
two
too.
major injuries.
And I love
Um,
him, but yeah, you're right.
I think he's awesome, and I love everything that this guy is like about.
Me too.
As a player,
As a
he's a
human, and as
solid
a
solid
human too.
human being. You know, all just yeah. So the Pistons, yeah, I don't see the upside at all. The Cavs, I think they're a mess. The Wizards, you know, will they trade Bradley Beal? Will they not?
That's the question for me. Yep.
Yeah, let that be the question for the next 5 years. And the Hornets, I just think, you know, they were awesome last year. They were fifth. I'm not a huge LaMelo guy. I actually like Lonzo better. I might be the
Really?
only person in the world. I feel like LeVar Ball and I should have a conversation about that at some point. But like, I really do like Lonzo. I like Lonzo. I like his game a little bit more. And I'm just I'm not convinced that that Gordon Hayward can stay healthy. And then the bottom after the Raptors, I had the Bulls at 8, the Knicks at 9, and the Pacers at 10. So I
Pretty
clearly am a
similar.
lot less bullish on the Pacers than you are. But mainly my argument for the Bulls is I really like Patrick Williams.
Yeah, me too.
The only reason I have them this low, frankly, I don't even think this is high. I think this is very low for them, and I think it's almost criminal that I put them behind the Raptors. But
Yeah.
I do think Levine's a little bit underrated, and I'm his biggest hater. I do not like this guy. I don't like his face. I don't know. There's something about him. I can't stand his game sometimes, and it's been since Minnesota. But I'm coming around to him since the USA team. I think DeRozan's a good passer. I think like that's the one thing that they have going for them. Their offense is so passer friendly. Like everyone can pass. Vucevic is a good passer. Lonzo's an amazing passer. DeRozan's an amazing
Yeah.
passer. You know, Caruso's an amazing passer, right? So you just get it all together, and the offense is just flowing, and they're blowing teams out by 60 in the preseason. And I know it's preseason, but this is also a team that's basically just assembled from scratch, and they're already vibing so hard. I think they're just a bunch of guys who have a lot to prove. And unlike you, I do think Lonzo's 40% is real. So I'm higher on them for sure. Yeah, so that's where I'm
Okay.
at. That's where I'm at with the East.
All
Where are we
right.
at with the West?
Okay, let's go 1 through 5 and then 6 through 10. So at number 1, I got the Jazz. At number 2, I got the Nuggets. At number 3, I got the Suns. At number 4, I got the Warriors. Big if they can stay healthy. At number 5, I got the Lakers. Your top 5.
Wow. Okay, no, that's amazing. We both have the Lakers at 5. Did you copy my list? Okay,
No, I
so
did it.
no, this is amazing because most of the preseason rankings I see the Lakers really high. So I had the Nuggets 1, Jazz 2,
Similar.
Mavs 3, Suns 4, Lakers 5. And I got to be honest, I was very tempted to take the Lakers down a bit from this,
Me too.
but I'm
I
like,
I don't love
Yeah.
the idea of all these dudes and then one injury. They're one injury away from being once again in 7, 8, 9, 10 seed, bro. Real talk.
Yeah, they're really old. Like
Right.
they're an old team and they don't necessarily make sense. And I think there's a lot of GMs out there that just get like unbelievable amounts of credit for, frankly, they get the benefit of the doubt even though they haven't really earned it. And I don't think Palinka's necessarily earned the benefit of the doubt because of one freaking championship in the bubble. I think like they've made a lot of disastrous roster moves. Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, Andre Drummond, like they've made some pretty dumbass moves
Yep.
in the last few years. And this offseason, I mean, there are a lot of people saying they got the best value deals. Yeah, Taylor Horton Tucker, awesome deal. They got a bunch of guys that, frankly, are signing for like 13 to 15% of their value. But at the end of the day, like Russ, LeBron doesn't make sense to me.
It just
I
doesn't.
can't add up to that. And I mean, some people have tried to sell me on it and they say, well, Russell kind of take over that LeBron role so that
Stop.
LeBron doesn't get
Stop.
that's like
The
saying
West
Alex
is too
Caruso is gonna.
deep for this. Oh, well, let me like replace him as a placement type player, and like no, like y'all not
Yeah,
good enough to have him just as a placement, or let me replace LeBron. Nobody
yeah,
can replace LeBron James, so no,
yeah,
I don't buy
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah, for
bro.
sure.
I don't
And I
buy
and
it.
I and I agree, and I think the Suns are going to come back down to earth a little bit. There might be
Me
some
too.
bad blood between Aiton and management. I think Bridges is awesome, and
Me
I think
too.
Booker is
I
going to
love
continue to get
Bridges.
better. But I do think that Chris Paul might taper off a little bit. And I
That's
have the
fair.
Nuggets number one because I think Jamal Murray is going to be a huge thing coming back. I think Michael Porter Jr. is just, I mean, I'm not the highest. He's kind of got a Zach LaVine face for me. Like, I got an issue with this guy too, but can't deny
You
the
just don't like
talent.
light
Super.
skins, man.
It's it's not about light skins. It's about divas, bro. Like I love Ben
Oh my
Simmons, but I
gosh.
just don't like divas, and he kind of has that sort of vibe to him that he's
Yeah.
just like super cocky. But honestly,
No,
a guy
Ben
that's that
Simmons is
talented at
extremely
basketball,
cocky. Ben Simmons is extremely arrogant. Like I've been in the locker room with him. Like he is super arrogant.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a light skin thing because I love Lonzo Ball more than
But it's
probably
funny
LeVar
how
Ball
all
does.
three
But
guys are all light skins.
no, but I like Ben Simmons.
Oh,
It's just Michael Porter Jr. and Zach
okay.
LaVine. It's just those two guys and Pascal Siakam and Fred
So,
VanVleet. Ah, shoot, we got another light skin.
oh man. So
But
no,
yeah,
I agree, bro. I got the Jazz one, Nuggets two. Those two teams are extremely underrated to some extent because they are really good. They proved it last year. They're going to prove it again this year if they
yeah,
can stay healthy. My thing with this Jazz and they robbed us of a great Western Conference Finals. It should have been Jazz Suns. Matchups again. The Rudy Gobert question mark in the playoffs. I don't get it.
mm,
I don't know if it's him or his trainer not working on just put together one move you can go to in the playoffs, my brother. We know you're great defensively, but you cannot help that team offensively. You're just not good. And it's not because you're not capable of doing it. It's because maybe you just don't want to. You've had 8+ years in the league. You should have a go-to move, and he doesn't. Catching a lob is not enough in today's NBA as an offense, as a center, period, especially in the playoffs, because those type of traditional, the Brook Lopez, at least Brook can spread the floor out, but these bigger centers, they run off the floor
yeah.
because they hunt them, and great guards know how to attack them. So that's a huge question mark. But I love the fact that they added my boy from Baylor, and Butler. Like I had Jared Butler coming out his junior year, but because of his heart conditions, he didn't come out. Same question marks this year. He would have easily been in the top 15 on my big board, but because he wasn't,
Hmm.
and I take the heart conditions very serious, I had him about 27, 28. But in terms of talent,
Yeah.
he is NBA ready. He's gonna be such a plus when Mike Conley gets injured. Not to say that I want him to get. I just feel like he will because that's just the type of player that he is. He's a little bit smaller. Like these smaller guards, it's hard to last an 82-game season. So the addition of Butler, if he can stay healthy himself, coming off that bench with that microwave scorer and Jordan Clarkson, the Jazz are a complete team, the most complete team in the Western Conference to me, and they got one of the best players in the world in Donovan Mitchell. So I love what they're doing there, and that's why I got them on number one. And again, the Suns on number three. There is a little bit of a hangover, but they're a very tough team. Mikal Bridges is going to get better. He has that Kawhi Leonard feel to him. Like, every year he's gradually getting better. I expect a lot from him this season.
Can I ask you a question? If you had to pick one of your top 5 teams that just completely misses the play-in, who would it be? Could you see any of these teams just falling off the face of the earth?
The Warriors,
Or
just because of the injuries, because I have them at number 4.
okay, that's a big reason why I don't have the Warriors in my top 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got the Jazz, Nuggets, Suns. Again, with the Warriors, they can be phenomenal, right? With Steph and all that veteran depth that they got this year. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. And again, the biggest question mark, Klay Thompson. Can he return to form? But they got Jordan Poole playing out of his mind right now. He could be finally the third splash brother that they've been looking for. He's looking super smooth, super nice. And we'll see what he does this year, man, because in preseason, he's looked like I hate to use the word star, but he's looked so good this year. So we'll see what happens.
But it is preseason.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got the Warriors at number 6. Right.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna go 6, let's go 6 through 10. Yeah. So I got Warriors 6. I got Clippers 7. Grizzlies 8. Blazers 9. And I got your Kings at number 10.
Okay.
And it took a lot of last minute convincing to put them over the Thunder, because I'm really high on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but I like Fox a lot. So it was a toss up.
So at number 6, I got the Mavs. So our top 6 are pretty similar. It's just got to swap some teams out. I got the Grizzlies at 7. I got the Kings at 8. Blazers at 9. Clippers at 10. I think there's going to be a huge hangover for the Clippers, not having Kawhi Leonard. I don't think they got better this year. I'm not a big fan of Drew Bledsoe. I know a lot of Clipper fans want to talk about that. I'm not buying it. You have to depend on your internal guys like Mr. Man to get better. He could get better, but not enough in the 82-game season in a very competitive West. The Grizzlies, some say they got worse. You could make that argument losing Valanciunas. We'll see what happens there. So no, but still, John Morant, it's another year. And for Jaren Jackson, who I love, I had him number 2 on my big board in 2018. He needs to stay healthy. When he's healthy, unlike Marvin Bagley, he actually makes a difference and he impacts winning. So yes, both guys have been injury riddled, but one guy impacts winning, the other guy doesn't. So that's why I got the Grizzlies at number 7. And again, the Kings number 8. De'Aaron Fox is taking that huge leap this year to become a legitimate, close to superstar. To me, he's already an all-star regardless of him not making the game last year, and that was ridiculous. Like, you only have 12 spots. So a lot of players like SGA, like Fox, didn't make the team. That doesn't mean they're not an all-star. Like, opposing teams are, they're game planning for these guys like all-stars. So to me, you don't have to ceremonially make the game. To me, you're an all-star. So can he take the next level? If he does, the Kings are right there. And that comes with winning, right? That's why I got the Kings at 8. I don't think Billups will be a good coach this year. I think the Blazers will essentially blow it up. I don't like the roster. They got worse this year. That's why I'm not high on the Blazers and the Clippers, which is why I got them at 9 and 10. They're going to face adversity. I'm interested to see how they face it and then how it all happens. But that's why I got them at 9 and 10.
I trust Florida State products to get better. I really do. And I think Man is, I think he could take a step up. I think he showed a lot of that on a higher level in the playoffs last year.
He's nice.
I think he's good, man. And I think, Serge, if he's healthy, right, he can provide something that he wasn't able to last year. And I think people sometimes, get washed up in the moment, right? Paul George.
I love Paul George.
He takes a lot of slack. But
he does.
There are times last year, and I'm a big Kawhi guy, where it was legitimately debatable who was better. It was really close between those two guys in some games. I'm not saying the whole season, but there were moments, there were stretches in the season. So I think, Paul George is on the cusp of top 15 player in the NBA. He's really there. He doesn't get talked about as much as he should, because I think people just don't like him. But he's that good, and I think the Clippers. I don't know how long Kawhi's out. I think he'll miss most of the season, if not like the entire season. But having that guy in the locker room and knowing that he will come back for the playoffs is a lot. as well. Like if he, if it's clear that he will come back for the playoffs, I mean, he could be cleared for that, or he could come back in January, February. Who knows? I haven't looked it up recently, but and yeah, I think the Grizzlies did get worse, and I'm kind of surprised I have them at 8
I'm surprised
because
that I have
in
my
a moment I'm
7.
thinking like, yeah, I don't know. I'm
I
not
have to
even that
switch
big on Ja.
that.
I'm not even that high on Ja Morant. Like I'm
Okay.
not that high on him. Like I like him as a player, and I think he's solid for a second overall pick, but I don't think of him as like a top 6 point guard in the NBA.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not
fair.
there, you
No,
know.
no, he's not.
So,
He's
and I
not.
mean, yeah, and I mean, and to the final point of you saying like, Fox being an all-star. I think in any given season, there's about 35 to 40 all-stars,
It's
and
fair.
only 24 make the game, either due to injury, situation. One guy's on a lottery team.
Hmm.
One guy's, like he's just on the outside, just in a bad situation, just got traded, whatever the
Right.
situation is,
I agree with
you
that.
know. So yeah, and I think he's one of those guys. Um,
For sure.
the reason I have them at number 10 instead of number 8, like you, and the reason I was debating putting them at 11, is I still don't buy the defense for this
Okay.
team. I think Harrison Barnes is good. I think Rashawn Holmes is a solid defender. I don't buy, people saying he's an elite center defender. I think he's a really good defender. Maybe it's pulled up, but Buddy Hield, what's going to happen there? Uh, been in trade talks all summer, right? I mean, and you know what? The Kings also they're my number 10 over the Thunder because I think legitimately this is one of the dark horse teams to actually get Ben Simmons. And if they do, then all
I'm
bets are
surprised,
off.
and
But
that's fair, bro. I'm just surprised that you said that Rashawn isn't elite, knowing that you love these types of centers. My only argument, I do think he's elite, and a lot of Kings fans don't think that because a lot of Kings fans and the recreational fan, they look at blocks per game and like the box score stuff. But when they actually
yeah,
watch them play, how can you be elite per se when all your guards and all your wings consistently get beat off the dribble, and now you're having to guard two guys at once, going back, rotating back, right, on the weak side, and then your guy getting beaten. Like, oh, this center had this great game again. But I'm like, did you see how Marvin Bagley got beat? Did you see how Buddy Hield got beat? Even Fox, even Halliburton. Like, it to me, it's
yeah.
like if you put Holmes on the Raptors, you're seeing him
hmm
in a different light. Like, you really are.
Well,
So,
that's a great point, but I'll tell you, I had a conversation with Kevin O'Neill back in 2004, and we were talking about the Pistons defense and
right.
how they geared defenders toward, at least they geared offensive players towards the baseline, and then just basically pummeled them into Ben Wallace. Right? They're using the baseline as a defender. They were using this, consistently, Rip and Tayshaun on the wing, and it really did like simplify their defense, and it led to a ton of blocks for Ben Wallace. My point is, the parts that you're talking about, namely the system, the coach, and the
Yes,
guards, they are part of how a center is ranked.
for sure.
Rashawn Holmes cannot be a great defender if he's always in foul trouble, and
Right.
Rashawn Holmes cannot be a great defender if he's constantly having to, and the one thing I will say is, having watched Marc Gasol for a year, it was a freaking clinic on a great defensive center. Not a big blocks guy, not a
But you
big,
guys have the pieces and the personnel to switch. The Kings switch everything, and they don't have the personnel. And that goes back to coaching. Coach to your strengths. Fight over the freaking screen. Stop switching so easily. That's what bugs me about it. And again, you're right. You hit it right on the nail. How can Rashawn be elite when he's always in foul trouble because he has to recover for everybody else and clean up everybody else's mistakes. It's hard, and I
yeah,
think the whole
but
the whole Ben Wallace thing is they played in a different era of basketball. Nowadays, it's so easy to call fouls. It's to the advantage of the offensive player. Hopefully, this year with all the new rules changing, it goes back to being balanced. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I just think that when I think about elite centers, like elite defensive centers throughout history, those guys actually do make their guards better. They just make them better. So that's where I think the difference is between a good defensive center like Rashawn Holmes, Jared Allen, guys like this. Maybe not Jared Allen, but like Rashawn Holmes, and a great defensive center, like a generationally elite center defender like Tim Duncan.
Who would you rather have in the
Uh,
playoffs, Rashawn Holmes or Rudy Gobert? That's easy. That's Rashawn Holmes to me.
Easy. I don't know. I think Rudy
In the
is,
playoffs?
just. I mean, depends on against who. Against who? Against Joel Embiid. Against Milwaukee. You know what? Like I have seen what Nick Nurse and his defensive lineup with with Marc Gasol, and I'm not saying Gasol and Gobert are similar, but they're huge. They're huge guys who clog up the paint, and they've got high defensive IQ. I don't think Rudy
But it's
Gobert is as
different when
bad
you
as.
have Kawhi Leonard, OG, and Siakam as
But
your
OG
other
wasn't
guys.
OG wasn't playing in the playoffs that year. He had an appendectomy. But I will say the system matters a lot.
For sure.
And yes, Rashawn Holmes could be a very, very top end defensive center and probably be seen as a
I mean,
second
he's a
team all
top 10
defense
shot
guy.
blocker regardless, even with all these things that we're saying. So it's not like he's not getting shot blocks. He's a better weak side rim protector for sure. But at the same time, it's just funny to me. Like, oh well, I'm like, dude, he's still even with all these things, he's still a top 10 guy.
Yeah, but I don't. You know me. I don't care about blocks. I care
Right. Or
about.
me
I,
neither. But like, if that's your baseline, like, oh, he don't get blocks or he protects the rim. But it's hard when your coach asks you to switch on to guards every other play when you're on the perimeter,
I
like
I
guarding
think that
guys
I
because he's great at. There's only two guys who are elite at switching on the perimeter. That's Bam and that's Rashawn, and that's it. Like there is nobody else on their level of being able to actually guard a guard on the perimeter. Period.
I mean, I know they're not centers, but Precious Achua and Pascal Siakam can do it pretty well.
But those guys aren't
And there
centers,
are,
though. You're right.
but there are other guys who can do that. So what I'm saying is like, I mean, just where these guys occupy on the court usually, they need to have a lot of vision. They need to be able to communicate. They need to be elite communicators. I saw so many instances where Gasol made Lowry, Van Vliet, even Kawhi better defenders based on how he was calling the defense from the back. It's like a quarterback, right? He's basically a quarterback on defense. He's seeing the whole floor from a very different vantage point than anyone who's up at top. So if that center can necessarily orchestrate your defense, that's what makes him elite. So I will argue that Rashawn Holmes is not that guy. But
Okay.
in fairness, I haven't watched as many Kings games as you, not even close. So I'll check him out. I'll
Okay.
watch some more.
All right. So let's
All right,
finish this up. So I got the Wolves at 11, the Spurs at 12, Pelicans at 13. A lot of it with the Pelicans at 13 is because of Zion with the news today. Had to scratch him out of
yeah,
the top, 11, top 10-ish. I don't like the roster construction there. Not having Zion's not going to help. That puts Brandon in a tough situation to being a number one guy. He's not a Batman. He's a Robin to me, and even a third best player. So that's why I got him at 13. The Rockets at 14 and Thunder at 15. I like the Rockets. I like the Thunder a lot. The problem is the East got better. So you kind of have to think about some of these games, some of these wins that they could have gotten in the East are going to change this year. And even like 7 through 12, Wizards, Hornets, like they're going to get wins against the West. So that's where I'm thinking like, okay, it's not going to be easy this year. There's going to be a lot more disparity, on both conferences. But yeah, that's who I got 11 through 15.
yeah. I think I might be a little bit higher on the Thunder just because I'm a really big Shea guy.
Me too.
Like
I'm the
I
biggest
love
Shea
this guy.
guy.
And okay, we could have a competition about that. But like I mean, he's Canadian. Shout out to Canada. But I like him, and they were a 500 team last year when he played. I
They
think
were.
that's kind of underrated fact. And the Thunder were deliberately losing games last year, and that's also underrated. And I think Josh Giddey is really good. Like I think he could be a backup point guard on a contender right now. Good, right? Um, Physically, yeah, he's gonna go through some struggles, but there's a lot of 10-year point guards who can't pass the way he
Yeah.
does. And I'm not trying to overrate the guy, but there is a reason he went sixth overall. Sam Presti knows what he's doing in the draft for the most part. He's a really good talent evaluator. So I'll reserve my judgment. I don't know where those is Poku gonna pop? Maybe
That's a
not based on
fun
what I've seen in
team.
preseason.
Yeah.
It's a fun team, but I think Shea's really good, and I don't think he often gets talked about. in the same breath as a
SGA
lot of
and
guys.
Fox are so underrated, right? Like they're so underappreciated, and that's unfortunate. But we'll see more of them this year.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got Thunder 11, Pelicans 12, Wolves 13, Spurs 14, and Rockets 15. It's a bad year for Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, 14, 15, I can swap it either way. A lot of people think that Greg Popovich is just too good to coach a team that finishes 14th. I will make the same argument that I make with Rick Carlisle. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's a top 5 coach in the NBA. That might be a hot take. That might be a hot take for some people. But you know what? He's won 19 seasons, right? 19 seasons of winning. But you know who else won 19 seasons? Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan left. The winning stopped. Okay.
Nice jersey.
I was not impressed.
By the way.
What?
Nice jersey, by the way.
Yep. Shout outs to Tim Duncan. By the way, that was my first jersey. I was in grade 6. I got that with my first job ever, and I got the job to get the jersey. That's
that means
how much
a lot.
of a Tim Duncan fan I was. So I mean, I'm a big Tim Duncan guy, and you know, Manu, Tim, etc. Extremely coachable. Where's this roster today? Right? Like, who is your guy? DeJounte Murray? Is that your guy right now? Is Josh Primo gonna do something? I'm sorry, I just don't see it. Thaddeus Young. It's a mishmash. I hope they bottom out for their sake. I hope they bottom out. They tank for Chet Holmgren or someone like that in the draft, and they, you know, rebuild the right way, and you know, they send Popovich off into the sunset because, I'm not super high on them. I think the Wolves, Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell. How many top 2 picks can you cram onto one team, right? And funny enough, it's the same thing with the Pelicans, right? With Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. But at some point, winning in the NBA comes down to 6 inches between the ears, right? You need mature leaders, and both these teams kind of lack that. They're a little bit rudderless in that sense. So I have the Wolves, you know, finishing 13. I think 538 released their projections. They had them finishing much higher. And I just don't see it. And they had the Pelicans finishing 6th because Zion is generational, but I don't think he can stay healthy. And I think, you know, there's going to be some serious off the court issues there. Not only with his injury, you know, proneness based on, you know, just his gait and the way he walks and the way he plays. I just don't think he can stay healthy. I mean, I felt the same way about Derrick Rose and how he played, you know, back in the day. I'm just like, this is not a body and a play style that is matched for 82 games. You just can't play this way and walk that way and be healthy.
100%.
So that's where I'm at with that. And again, the Rockets, I have them at the very bottom. They're gonna be fun to watch. 3 rookies that I really give a shit about. It's interesting, right? Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, Usman Garuba, like Josh Christopher. There's 4 rookies that actually play. Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to be terrible. Like, they might win 15 games. I hope that the losing doesn't kill their spirit, because losing a lot in the NBA right off the bat, I would debate it's almost as bad as not playing at all. Like, is those 2 outcomes as an NBA rookie, being on a perennial bottom feeder where you just expect to lose every night? That's really hard to wipe that taste out of your mouth and kind of learn how to win. And then the other side of it is getting buried on the bench behind a contender and just, you know, kind of figuring out how to stay ready when you might play 50 minutes all season. I think those are both really bad outcomes for young players, and they require a lot of, you know, mental fortitude. So in my opinion, I wish that they would get some veterans and maybe not bottom out completely, try to be competitive, try to play the right way. But it seems like they're going to go another direction with that. And, you know, will the John Wall thing be a distraction? Will it be a hindrance? I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at. We'll see if we're right.
Well, I got the Rockets winning 27 to 28 games. So I think they'll surprise a lot of people in that way. They're nice. Well, they'll run teams out just because they're so young, and they'll catch people off by surprise. But yeah, there will be nights where they'll get blown out, and nights where they're like, oh my God, Jalen Green is going off, you know, KPJ is going off. But yeah, man, great points, brother. I gotta go. It was a great show. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. It'll be on iTunes probably tonight when I get back. Thank you, Robert, man. It was so fun. I'm sure we'll do this next week when I get back from Dallas, Texas. And yeah, man, I appreciate you. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.